Let me paint the scene for you here. Adobe has been the king of the design world for about the past 2 decades. Full monopoly type of energy. Every designer you've ever known has paid them, complained about them, and then paid them again. They've been sitting on the throne for so long, they don't even know what the competition looks like anymore. And then quietly, here comes Canva. Not as a design toy anymore. This time, they're pulling up with Affinity, the full professional suite, the one serious alternative we've had to Adobe in the past 20 years. And the wild part here is that they've made Affinity free. No subscription, no intro trial, just free. And this is the first real crack we've seen in Adobe's armor in a very, very long time. So today, we're gonna talk about it. But before we get into it, I'm Ziggy the Designer. I'm a graphic designer who's worked alongside some of the world's most recognizable brands, including United Airlines, Target, and Stanford University. If you like the conversations we're having on this show, be sure to support the channel by giving this episode a like, leaving a comment down below, and of course, by subscribing. Let's get into it. Design is all around us, so we might as well talk about it. Affinity was already a respected suite of design programs, right? You have Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, Affinity Publisher. They were the tools you heard about from that one design friend you have who swore they were done with Adobe forever. But for most designers, switching just didn't feel worth it. Right? The industry is too locked into Adobe right now. The industry, the ecosystem is too established. Companies want consistency with their software suites, and Affinity just presented a little bit too much risk. So, Affinity stayed in this niche zone, loved by people who valued performance, speed, and most importantly, owning your software. Ignored by the masses, though, who didn't want to learn something new. And then Canva goes ahead and buys Affinity. And this isn't just a gimmick acquisition, right? Canva isn't just buying a piece of software here, right? They are buying the pathway into the professional design market, right? Through this purchase, they bought credibility with the design world. They bought the bridge between being a design hobbyist and being a design professional. And the best part is, instead of putting Affinity behind another subscription, they removed that barrier. Affinity is free. You can learn design. You can own your workflow without a paywall. And how did Canva make this happen, right? That's the big question. How did they do it? Well, Canva simply made it so. So why does this matter? Adobe has been losing ground, and they're not losing ground because someone built a better brush engine for the pen tool, right? Adobe lost ground because the world around them changed. For years, design meant big campaigns, big timelines, big agencies, files passed in email chains, one designer owning the master file, right? Really old school agency type of stuff. Now, design is fast. It's collaborative. It's distributed. It's social and digital first. It's, cross-functional teams editing the same file in real time. The job has shifted. The workflows have shifted, and the pace has shifted. Meanwhile, Adobe has stayed stagnant. They kept selling the same subscription, the same siloed apps, the same suite of programs. Meanwhile, Canva was watching how design was actually happening. We're looking at marketing teams, content teams, social teams, product teams, people who need to make things quickly and to make them together. But let's be honest here, right? Adobe still runs parts of the game, if not most of the game, right? Photoshop is still Photoshop. After Effects is still After Effects, right? Motion graphic studios aren't gonna ditch After Effects because Affinity is a free program now, right? But the places where design starts, the places where collaboration happens, the places where ideas get shaped. All of that is shifting. And here's where I'm seeing it in my day-to-day, right? In my work as a marketing designer at a major company, I barely touch Adobe anymore, right? Photoshop, yes, right? I touch Photoshop. After Effects, absolutely. But for the core of my work, right? Looking at building layouts, looking at getting assets for the brand system that I work with, or looking at building out omnichannel campaigns. All of that, it doesn't live in Adobe, it lives in Figma. Right? My team, we've dropped XD, we've dropped InDesign, right? Not because someone told us to switch, we just did. Because it worked better for how modern teams operate. Adobe didn't lose because something beat them, right? Adobe lost relevance through inertia, through how the industry is moving. Designers have moved while Adobe has stayed still. And here's the real shift, right? Here's why this matters. For students, for early career designers, and for freelancers, this is the first time in a long time the industry is no longer locked behind a $600 yearly Creative Cloud subscription, a university pipeline, or agency-owned licenses. You can now learn design through professional tools for free. Right? You can work with teams without expensive software. You can build a portfolio with zero upfront cost. That cost barrier is gone. Right? The gate didn't open slowly here. It got kicked off the hinges, folks. This move doesn't just change software choice. It changes who gets to become a designer. This is access to design, right? This is equity. This is a power shift. And now, of course, right, not everything is perfect. AI tools are locked behind a paywall, which can be a big downside, especially for photo editing, because we all know how much we love generative fill. Let's not lie to ourselves. And while Canva says Affinity will be free forever, we don't really know what the long-term support and licensing is going to look like for this. So what do we do with this? We experiment. We get curious. We stop assuming the tools we inherited are the tools we must use. I know for sure that I'm going to use Affinity on things for this channel. Adobe built the world that we as designers learned in, but Canva and Affinity are building the world we're designing in now. And that means you don't have to wait to get hired to start designing. You don't have to wait to get a license to start learning. You don't have to wait for permission to get good at design. The tools are free. The community is open. The craft belongs to the people who show up and make the work. And let's be real, right? Adobe isn't gone. Adobe isn't going anywhere. But the monopoly era that we all know is just about over. And that is exciting. But how do you feel about Affinity? Is this a real threat to the Adobe Creative Cloud suites? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. That's all I have for you. If you like this episode, be sure to support the show by giving this episode a like, subscribing, and of course by sharing this one out. I've been Ziggy the Designer. If there are 2 things you need to know about me, it's that 1, I love design, and 2, I'm very opinionated. I'll talk with y'all later. Bye-bye.